Okay, Van, it looks like it's just you and me this week. And going back to the topic of your video last week, the sticky notes function on the Mac, I want to show you something because it's really quite insane. This, can you see this? This is cards, pieces of paper. I don't use the sticky notes function on Mac because of pretty much the same thing that you described, forgetting entirely what it was that sticky note meant. But I do write a huge number of little notes in a day, reminding me of things that customers are looking for. And I keep each and every one of those in this book, held together with this elastic. Without this, I'd be lost. This week is bringing up a memory for me, so I wanted to talk about one of my most memorable summers ever. The summer of 1972 was a summer that my sister and I, she was 10, I was 11, took a trip down the east coast of the United States with our grandparents. So our journey took us through New York State, down a back highway, Highway 17, through Pennsylvania. We moved all the way down, went to Maryland, visited with some family and friends in Maryland, and then reached our final destination, which was a place called Indian River in Delaware, very, very close to Rehoboth Beach. And proceeded to have a really happy, fun holiday. A little more than halfway through our holiday, June 18th, gosh, what was it? Maybe about midnight. We were all sleeping. There was a very, very loud knocking, banging on our door. And the fellow was saying, wake up, it's the American Coast Guard. He was telling us that Hurricane Agnes was moving up the coast, the East Coast, and he had to let everybody in the trailer park know. We were really, really close to the water in this particular trailer park, and this was just really astonishing news to us. At this point, I can only imagine how utterly frightened, pretty much probably terrified my grandparents were. I remember feeling a little bit confused, getting what was going on. I mean, obviously there was a hurricane coming up the coast, but also just kind of feeling like, hey, you know, Nana and Grandpa take us on some really fun holidays. This is pretty exciting. The next step was to make a decision as to whether we were going to stay or go. The Coast Guard fellow made it pretty clear that the hurricane was coming up the coast, so it seemed like the better idea that we pack up the trailer and we make our way away from the ocean and get inland. So that's what we did. I don't really know how long it was that we were driving for. It was probably about maybe 2 hours or so. I do know that the rain was so bloody hard, it was unbelievable. And it got to a point where my grandfather didn't even know anymore if he was on a road or not on a road. What had happened, unfortunately, is the hurricane somehow had changed its path. And it had begun to move inland, so that actually the coast was a little bit safer at this point than where we were. And the effect of that was we were driving head on into the hurricane. Got to a point where he just could not drive anymore, and without even knowing where we were, he just pulled off the road, and we drove until he couldn't drive anymore. The car just stopped, and that was that. We all got out of the car and made our way into the trailer, and basically fell down on the beds completely exhausted and slept. Early the next morning, we could hear a knocking at the door. Hello, hello. And we're like, oh my God, where are we? My grandfather got up, he answered the door, and there was a fellow at the door. And he said, don't worry, I'm going to get you out. I'm here to help. And my granddad was just like, where are we? And he said, oh my God, where are we? Oh, it's okay. You're in my field, he said. Somehow you made it off the road. I don't know how you did it. And you're in my field. And my grandfather said, I'll move the car and the trailer. I'm so sorry, sir. And the guy said, you're not going anywhere. Your wheels are like 3 feet under the mud. And we got out and looked, and it was amazing. Everything, we were just basically sinking down into the mud. This guy was an amazing guy. He got his John Deere tractor. He hooked it up to the front of the truck, which pulled the trailer, and he just drove her and pulled us completely out of the mud up onto land that was more sturdy. And he said, here you go. Here's an electrical cord from our house. Stay as long as you need to stay. It's a horrible storm, horrible hurricane that's gone through, and you take as much time as you want. Yeah, I think we stayed maybe 1 or 2 nights, and then my grandparents wanted to get us on the road and make the trip home. It had been quite an exciting journey already. So we did, and we took the route basically that we took down from Canada, which was through Pennsylvania, and our hearts broke wide open at the devastation. It was unbelievable. I saw trains wrapped around the buttresses of bridges, looking like they were made out of cardboard. Everywhere we went, like through Williamsburg, along the Susquehanna River, it was all just swollen, like pregnantly swollen with water. People's homes were completely decimated. But everywhere we went, people were helping other people. It was amazing. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but it was an amazing, amazing thing to see. People were helping people carry things. They were offering each other food. We had to stop several times along the way to stay. And it was, for an 11-year-old, from a really boring place in Canada where nothing ever happens weather-wise, it was an amazing experience to see this. I never ever thought I'd ever go through something like that. I'd heard about these sorts of things. I know that my father was alive during Hurricane Hazel, which went through Toronto, and now I'd had my own adventure. And this video has gone on far too long, and if you stayed with it, thank you. But it just kind of felt good to tell that story. That is definitely a summer I'll never forget.